Hamilton.
I wish all history was taught in this manner. Do you guys wish the same?
Yeah, I think it's very entertaining. It definitely makes it easy to remember because the way kids' minds absorb music, especially like nowadays, I think it would be a good medium to get that information across. Definitely, I think it would be highly effective.
Yeah, I think so.
It would be nice. This was really well constructed. So if it was all constructed this well, I'd say yes. On this episode of Hip Hop Movie Club, we'll tell you why Hamilton was not without its flaws, about some of the hip hop references Lin-Manuel Miranda weaved into the lyrics, and why it made it for a perfect Gen X soundtrack, who our most valuable player, our MVP, was in this whole story, and why it met our expectations after all these years.
Featuring a score replete with hip-hop and R&B, Hamilton depicts how Alexander Hamilton grows from his humble beginnings to his meteoric rise, one of our nation's founding fathers. It's not without its flaws, though.
It has its flaws, too.
Yeah, glossed over some aspects of those times. Yeah, it's great to see people of color depicting the roles throughout the show, but I think that in context there were some actual wrongs being done to people of color back then that were not really mentioned as much.
You don't get much of a sense of slavery in this show, and it's like the elephant in the room. There's a lot of white supremacy back then, all the other things that go along with that. So I think that's part of why I avoided it so long. Like, do I really need to go through this kind of like almost whitewashing or putting a friendly spin on it?
How do you fit it in there in such a story that's supposed to be a positive, uplifting story? It kind of takes away some of the impact. But I think they could have done a little more to mention some of that.
Right away, early on, it's like, I'm John Lawrence and the place to be. That's a refrain that we hear all the time. You guys probably caught when Hamilton says, I'm 19 years old, but my mind is older. And that's just like Mobb Deep. Shook One's part 2. When they say, I'm only 19, but my mind is old. He twists that up a little bit. But that's definitely a call out and a hat tip to Mobb Deep, which is awesome. And then there's the 10 Commandments. I think, was it 10 Commandments of War? And that's similar to the 10 Crack Commandments by Notorious B.I.G. So for hip hop heads, this is awesome that you kind of like, where do I know that specific style or cadence from? When he does the ALEXANDER, that's how when Biggie says NOTORIOUS in his going back to Cali, not the LL Cool J, but his going back to Cali. There was one part when Daveed Diggs as Thomas Jefferson.
He calls it a jungle.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder, that was it. And then there's the what's your name line, which is used by a lot of folks. Before Alexander's like, what's your name? My name is Alexander Hamilton. Like the whole what's your name thing. Snoop Dogg has done that, Eminem, and many others. And I even picked up on when Aaron Burr was talking to the Schuyler sisters. He said, excuse me, miss. I always just think about Positive K. Excuse me, miss. No, I'm not having it. Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely a soundtrack that should appeal to a Gen X hip hop fan.
It's so funny because hip hop, even from its origins, and we've talked about this from the early days with Beat Street and everything, they introduced the whole concept like braggadocio, like bragging on, and that's Alexander Hamilton is all about that right from the get-go. And even the not throwing away my shot is thematic of Eminem's Lose Yourself. It's the same concept. Like you only get one shot, one opportunity. So for him to repeat, I'm not throwing away my shot, that's the same type of thing. There was other influences from Kendrick Lamar as well as Rakim and many others. My
favorite scenes were when they were debating and they were just like turn into like freestyle battles. It was just like, this is crazy. And it's just so creative how they did that. And I just enjoy the back and forth because it doesn't get any better than a battle. It doesn't get any better. That's hip hop at its rawest form right there, the battle. So to see them bring that element into the show was definitely one of the cool spots for me. My favorite character was probably the Marquis de Lafayette.
That was my answer too.
The French accent, like it's so hard to do what he was doing. Like he kept that French accent going while he was rapping. I'm like, wow, Daveed Diggs is so talented for being able to do that.
I also enjoyed Daveed Diggs. Lafayette in history, he comes in and is very instrumental in saving the revolution. It's sort of like a Han Solo kind of thing. It's like a mercenary from the outside. And so I dig that kind of performance and character. So it was, for me, it was also Daveed Diggs as the Marquis de Lafayette.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a broken, but same. And then his portrayal of Jefferson, what I miss when he went to France. That was hilarious. So he stole the show for me. Yeah, I was blown away by Hamilton production. I had heard so much about it. It lived up to the expectations for me. It was just so creative. The acting was on point. I just love that it tells a story through hip hop. Like I would love to have been in college when this was at its peak popularity and have a project about this where you could dive deep into it. But now we get to do it here on a podcast.
Absolutely.
Create our own homework.
And it definitely lives up to my expectations. It's one of those things that you could watch it over and over again and you'll still start picking out things that you didn't notice. I like the different layers that exist in it, and I like the music. The music is very, very entertaining. It has you nodding your head. If you're a hip-hop head like us, it'll definitely make you nod your head.
I was one of those, like, the last people on Earth to see Hamilton in any form. So with that much time that had gone by, it could be difficult for it to live up to the expectation. But for me, it really did, and I'm glad I watched it. The arrangements, the music, the lyrics are just really, really well done. There's nothing better than a story well told, and it is a story well told in this sense. Brilliantly executed. I wouldn't mind maybe a thrash metal version of Hamilton. Be fun. Or maybe a thrash metal version of the Teapot Dome scandal. Let's have that. But yeah, hip hop, sure.
Now let's do our ratings here. Boogie, bring this funky flick back or leave it in the vault.
Bring that funky flick back.
Dinah Wright.
I am bringing this funky flick back.
I also will bring this funky flick back.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hip Hop Movie Club show. I'm Dino Wright, filmmaker, designer, longtime hip hop fan. And the first hip hop CD I ever bought was Das EFX' 1992 debut album, Dead Serious.
I'm JB, 80s and 90s nostalgia junkie, longtime hip hop fan, and I hold the microphone like a grudge.
I'm Boogie, a DJ, longtime hip-hop fan, and I once chilled in the VIP section of a concert with Vinny and KG from Naughty by Nature.
And remember, don't hate, negotiate.